Former Chicago TV personality Anupi Singla wants you to try your luck at vegan Indian cooking. She shares some of her top secrets from the kitchen.
2 years ago, her book on Indian cooking climbed the charts to become the #1 Indian cookbook in the country. And since then, Chicagoan Anupi Singla has not slowed down. Her mission? To revolutionize the way Americans experience Indian food. The former TV reporter turned stay-at-home mom turned food blogger has a new book. It's called Vegan Indian Cooking, 140 simple and healthy vegan recipes. Anupi is with us to share secrets and stories from the kitchen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, but let's dial back through your past, which is you worked for CLTV. You worked for WGN as a reporter and loved reporting, right?
Oh yeah, still do.
And so why the switch? What made the switch for you?
Well, you'll remember the story of that Southwest airline jet that went off the runway and sadly killed the 6-year-old boy. I was on that story right around Christmas a few years back and was one of the first on the story that morning. Had a great news day, covered it for CLTV, some of our affiliates, was on CNN with the story, KTLA, but I had 2 little girls at home. My husband's a consultant who travels Monday through Thursday or Friday. Came home and they were eating this soggy yellow broccoli. And it was just this aha moment for me. And again, it's a very personal decision. I don't say everyone's going to feel this, but I felt like, look, when I was raised, my mom worked and provided us with really great Indian food every day. And I feel like every kid's legacy should be good, healthy food. And I had to make a decision. And the decision was just to take a break from the reporting just for a little bit to catch my breath and see if I could blog and cook every Indian recipe I grew up with and feed it to them, see if they would eat it.
One of the interesting things in your cookbook and what you say is that your generation was raised by mothers who were worried their daughters would stay in the kitchen and not go on to rich, full professional lives. Was your mother saying, no, 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 don't do this, Anupi, not in the kitchen, go become a brain surgeon?
Well, a lot of them do that. A lot of them do say that, and I hear that again and again from women that are South Asian of my generation. And my mom at the time, I have to say, through the years, did not give me my first cooking lesson. It was my grandfather on my father's side who gave me my first cooking lesson at age 10. My mom before that had never said, Anupi, come into the kitchen. She always said, go study. Go make sure you get straight A's, go do this, go that with school and work eventually. And so she wasn't the one pushing me to come into the kitchen, but when I did, I kind of rediscovered myself and became empowered because now I enjoyed being in the kitchen. I wasn't forced to do it and really am enjoying the journey. Your favorite
recipe in this new book?
Well, you know, I have so many favorites. It's hard to pick just the one, but one that I do love is the chickpea popper recipe, because it's such a fun recipe where it mixes all my different elements of my personality. It was one that a fellow mom had told me about at school, and I never thought to make chickpeas this way. I'd always been ingrained that with Indian chickpeas, you've got sauce, you've got a lot of broth, you've got all of that. I never thought to make it in the oven. And it's a recipe that also taps into my healthier side of cooking and my philosophy on health. It uses, instead of canned chickpeas, a slow cooker to make your chickpeas from dried beans. And so it taps into all these different elements.
And then it's kind of a crunchy thing you eat with your hands?
It is, and kids love it. My kids love it when I make them. They eat them all up. I put them in the lunch boxes. And so it's a fun, kid-friendly recipe that adults will love too, adding into their salads or in their soups, but it's something that kids love too.
Now, tell me about, is it matar paneer?
Matar paneer.
Matar paneer, what is that?
Well, matar means peas in Hindi, and paneer is homemade cheese. And so it's a recipe that I grew up eating. It's my husband's favorite recipe. It took me 13 years, Carol, of marriage to feel like I actually overcame and could make this recipe successfully because my mother-in-law and my mother do such a great job with it. But what I did was, for the vegan aspect of the book, I swapped out the homemade cheese, the paneer, and used tofu instead and developed a way to bake the tofu and make it actually taste really good and pass my husband's strict, very high standards.
Now, your husband is not a vegan. He is a meat eater, right?
Yes.
And so how does one, is this a kind of crusade for you, or is this something different than that?
It's very different. When the first book did well, my publisher came to me and said, Anupi, what's the second book? Which is nice, you know, to have that happen, first of all. And I said, well, how about a vegan book? And he goes, well, how about a meat book? And I said, well, how about a vegan book? And he goes, Anupi, are you vegan? I go, pretty much, and I have been for 15 years, but I don't really talk about it because I don't feel like I need to influence anyone else with food, and that's what the first chapter says. It's not a book where I'm on a mission to make you vegan. I'm on a mission just to share these amazing recipes and swap outs. And if you say one day don't like the paneer, swap in your chicken, swap in your beef, swap in your lamb. It's okay. I won't be offended or feel bad about it.
You have before you all sorts of spices. I wish people could smell this. For a lot of people, I think, thinking of Indian food, if they've never cooked it, it's intimidating because they're not necessarily the spices that you keep in your cabinet. Will you give us a little short course?
Sure, absolutely. So we've got turmeric, the bright yellow here, garam masala. Garam means warm, masala means a mixture of spices. We've got cumin seed, some green cardamom, some black cardamom, which is not a spice that is usually known in the West, but we use it a lot in Eastern cooking. Cinnamon sticks and cloves as well. Now, the beauty of these spices is not just that they add flavor, but the element that Americans are now learning is that they also add health benefits to all of your cooking. So like the turmeric, for example, has curcumin in it, where they're finding may actually help push off the advent of Alzheimer's disease and help with memory loss, preventing memory loss. So all these little things, they're anti-inflammatories and also help prevent cancers. So it's great to get them in your day-to-day. And one spice I didn't talk about is curry powder. We just don't use curry powder. Most people don't realize that about Indian.
But the assumption is that Indian food is curried food, right?
Well, the difference is, for us, a curry is something with a broth or gravy. And for the West, because when the British took Indian food back in the 1800s back to England, they started to cook authentically, but then they deviated and started to make shortcuts. And the shortcut was a spice component that tasted like the Indian food they had in the subcontinent. And that became curry powder. But we don't do that. We actually take oils, put our whole spices in there, let them fry up a tiny bit, let their essential oils be released, and we know how to gauge their heat levels and how, you know, which spices will burn faster, and add them in as we go.
One of the things that you have said is your idea of a dream job used to be being a war correspondent. Is there still a part of you that harkens to, I'm going to get back on the street, I'm going to start reporting again?
You know, I want to do that. I tell my kids every other day when I watch CNN, I'm always salivating a little bit. Only because, and I joke about it, but it really is because I love telling people stories, and I feel like I would be really good in a situation like that. However, I don't believe that I can build a company, build a brand, and be on television as a reporter.
And now you're thinking, or you're in the process of doing a television show for the cooking, right?
Yes, I am.
But we can't say where or how because the deal isn't sealed, is that correct?
That's correct. You know how TV works. Unless you sign on the dotted line, there's no deal yet. So we're waiting, and I'm waiting by my phone constantly. It could happen today, it could happen a week from now, but I'm hoping that it will happen.
And it'll be staged in India?
No, it's something that we will take from here. We'll be based in a kitchen in the States, and we'll go to India, and we'll have food journeys in India, and we'll bring it all back, and we'll show you how to take it and translate it so that Americans in America can enjoy those dishes.
It sounds fascinating and very exciting. Well, congratulations on your great success with this.
Thank
and
you.
I will, though I'm not a vegan, I have to confess, I'm more in your husband's camp on this.
It's okay.
There's some wonderful recipes. Thanks. Anupi Singla, again, the book is Vegan Indian Cooking. You can view some of Anupi Singla's favorite recipes from the book on our website. There's more to Chicago Tonight to come, so stick around.